What's up, guys? It is February 15th. It's Wednesday, and this is the crypto newsletter. So starting off with it, we have Judy Shelton. So Judy Shelton, she's a monetary economist, but under Trump's presidency, she was nominated for one of the, becoming a Federal Reserve governor or on the board of governors for the Federal Reserve. And she had always advocated for going back to a gold standard. And she was quoted saying in a back to the future type cryptocurrency type of way. So combining that gold standard for the stability and that anchor and the kind of thousands of years of trust that's ingrained with kind of something like gold, but mixing it with DLT blockchain and giving it that portability, divisibility, traceability factor with it. So what she had tweeted was interesting. She said, is he interested in setting up new international currency arrangements linked to gold? So let's look at this. So it's talking about, because Elon Musk tweeted his dog and she had made this joke, but quite a heavy joke, I would say, right? It seems like she may know what's on the horizon here. And we've always said it's going to be an international agreement, an international arrangement. It's going to be at an international conference type of thing. So what we have coming up is we saw this was 2 days ago, G20 nations looking at creating global crypto asset regulation. So the world's biggest economies are reportedly exploring the idea of collectively regulating the group of 20 whose members account for around 90% of the world's GDP and 80% of international trade, is looking at whether it could create a regulatory framework for crypto assets. So India, which currently holds the G20 presidency, has already introduced a bill to regulate the cryptocurrency market in the country. So they're talking to all nations, she said, that if it requires regulation, then one country alone cannot do anything. We're talking with all nations if we can make some standard operating procedure, which is followed by everyone to make a regulatory framework, and if it can be effective. No one single country can succeed individually being in a silo and trying to regulate the crypto assets. We need to have the members of G20 come on board to see what best needs to be done. So there we go. So it's going to be a collective effort. Then we had this. This was like a month ago, and it was the BIS considers multilateral platforms for cross-border payments. So a joint report by the CPMI, the BIS Innovation Hub, IMF, and the World Bank is considering the possibility of multilateral platforms for cross-border payments. Multilateral platforms, cross-border payment systems that are multi-jurisdictional by design could enhance cross-border payments by reducing the need for intermediaries and allowing payment service providers in different jurisdictions to transact directly with each other. The report by the four organizations have been informed by a survey of central banks and through discussions with existing platform operators. It analyzes the potential costs and benefits of multilateral platforms and how they might alleviate cross-border payments frictions. Two paths for establishing multilateral platforms can be followed: the growth approach and the greenfield approach. The growth approach involves expanding existing multilateral platforms to additional jurisdictions, currencies, and participants. And the greenfield approach involves building a new, potentially global infrastructure for cross-border payments. I believe this is what we're looking for as digital asset holders here. So the decision to establish a multilateral platform and the approach to doing so requires careful consideration of the associated benefits, challenges, and risks. This report offers key insights for payment system operators and authorities contemplating the expansion or establishment of multilateral platforms. Central banks in Israel, Norway, Sweden previously teamed up with the BIS to explore how CBDCs can be exploited for international retail and remittance payments. So there we go. So this report, I wonder where it's at here. Let's see. So this is pretty big. I don't know if anybody really dug deep and talked about this, but very interesting verbiage there. And kind of spells out exactly what we've been expecting. So today, the BIS Committee on Payments and Market Infrastructure has published a report on how multilateral platforms could address cross-border payment frictions The paper mentions 20 separate platforms, most of which use conventional technologies and are in production. It also includes 3 CBDC cross-border payment platforms, which are still in development and all use blockchain. So, however, the paper doesn't mention other private DLT initiatives such as Finality, Partier, or Baton Systems. The 3 cross-border CBDC platforms referenced are Project Mbridge, Project Dunbar, and Project Jura, which all involve the BIS Innovation Hub, a co-author of the report alongside the IMF and World Bank. Most existing multilateral platforms are regional, with only 3 global ones in production: CLS, which I believe has Ripple ties, same with Visa, and same with MasterCard. So benefits of multilateral platforms, it goes into it. We already know this. It's talking about foreign exchange settlement risks, primary concern. Let's keep going down. So they're talking about DLT needs to be factored into the conversation as a technology that can unlock this conundrum. We always hear the verbiage of unlock, trap liquidity. So technology firms such as Baton have proven that riskless foreign exchange settlement in a broad basket of currencies for an extensive range of wholesale, another buzzword, participants in greater transparency into current and forecasting funding requirements at the currency level is possible today. You're damn right it is, because the platforms are out there. You got Ripple, you got Stellar, and you might even have Chain now, right? So we're seeing the same verbiage being talked about, and it's been talked about for years now. We're just at the final phase of it. So hub and spoke versus common platform. The report describes 2 approaches to creating multilateral payments networks. One is to use a hub and spoke model, and the other is to share a common platform. The rationale for a hub and spoke model is to interlink domestic payment systems. Simplistically, with the hub and spoke model, one just has to agree on a common set of APIs for interlinking at a technical level. In contrast, for a common platform, participants would need to agree on pretty much every aspect of the platform and its functions. So while it's recognized that an agreement is likely to be challenging, on the other hand, this sort of common platform solution could be less complex and hence easier to maintain more efficiency, because changes to a hub and spoke model need to consider the impact on each payment system. Another benefit of a common platform is more consistent level of service. For example, each domestic network might have different criteria for participation, with some restricted to banks. In contrast, for a common platform, the same criteria would likely be applied worldwide. All the DLT solutions are common platforms, both CBDC and private. So the report also highlights several challenges with multilateral platforms, many of which I've raised in previous cross-border CBDC reports. So we're seeing big moves happening, and this was to kick off the year strong, huh? So we're seeing all this happen, and it's all the same verbiage of everything we've been tracking here. So Doge and Floki soared after Musk tweeted the photo of his dog, the one that I showed you with Judy Shelton here. So Floki is up big. I think it was up like 35% right now. We're up big time on that. So we're going to keep holding it. And that's why we bought Floki, because out of Doge and Shib, Floki's the lowest market cap. And I do think it's going to be the Shiba of this next bull run, because meme coins will have their spot until ultimately the regulations are in, or this, that, and the other thing, regulated platforms where most of the money is trading these crypto assets. We'll still see these kind of mini runs and speculative bubbles with these meme coins. And I watched Shiba Inu take off last time. I'm not going to watch Floki, that's for sure. I threw a couple $100 in it, just going to let it ride. Now we have this as well too. So this is what I've been thinking. So sorry to all the bears for sharing this Bitcoin narrative. So double bottom pattern Adam and Eve. So we had this downtrend. We have our left bottom and then our right bottom. We had our breakout line. We came back above, and a lot of people are expecting us to revisit down here. We very well likely still could. But to me, based off the Stargate signals and everything that we're seeing, it does seem like we're going to hold right here. And it does seem like we're going to push up higher. Will we come back down and revisit down here? The odds to me are looking less likely every day here. We've seen the CPI report come out. We pushed up. We saw the dollar push up. We're still basically up. We didn't have a very steep correction. And I do think suddenly you're just going to see prices soar, and 2023 is going to be a surprise for everybody. And I saw this post because it kind of is what I was thinking. Let me pull it up here. But also too, what I believe is, we're maybe a couple years early to any big kind of recession. So in 2027 or like 2026, we got up into the zone here. We kind of like went sideways for a bit. And then once the 6-month treasury yield came down, that's when we had our big crash. So the Great Recession. So we're still headed up here. So we're still headed vertical. We haven't gone sideways at all. But as you can see, when we do go sideways and then we start to curl down, I mean, this was the 2020 COVID crash. This was the great financial crisis. This was the dot-com bubble. We're still headed up here. To me, I'm thinking we still got, a big bull run, a hyper boom still left in us. And in a couple years, 2025, 2026, that's when we'll see the big crash. So I still believe we have time. And this is what I was thinking. Like, this is what I've been saying. So FOMO will come back with vengeance. Think October 2021 on drugs. First gradually, then all of a sudden. I know you guys remember that video. All of a sudden, it was like a couple weeks ago when I did the 40-minute like long private market update. I feel as if that's going to be the case. And this price action that we saw, this rolling over here and kind of going sideways and popping up, was very similar to back here, the calm before the storm, October 2021. And then we just like went 10x. Don't rule that out for Bitcoin and crypto. I mean, we can see things move very, very fast here. And where we saw a lot of things lining up, the 10-day buy now signals with the Stargate indicator. Every single time that flashes, it flashed the bear market bottom. So there's a lot of things lining up to say the scenarios that are being outlined here are likely, a very high possibility. So we can't shrug that off. So that's just my take on it. So regulation of retail payments in Canada. So, all right, this was old news. So let's keep going here. So a lot of crazy stuff's going on. Like, so another kind of, or a truck, we've seen multiple train kind of derailments in the US. And then we saw this, and it's like something deeper is going on here. This is nuts. Like, just in the past week, 10 days, just so much stuff. So shelter in place has been issued due to hazardous toxic chemicals leaking. Tucson, Arizona. Currently, authorities have issued a hazmat alert, and a shelter-in-place warning is in effect for all individuals within a mile radius in Tucson, Arizona, after a truck carrying, it was like nitric acid or something. Nitric acid, just like crazy. Like, I don't know who drives around with that. I don't know why that would be the case, but I don't know. Just a lot of weird stuff's going on, and there's something deeper going on here. So billionaire George Soros fund dives deeper on crypto bets. The fund purchased or added to positions in Marathon Digital, MicroStrategy, and Silvergate Bank, according to the SEC. So we're seeing big man George Soros here. He's getting deep into crypto. He's buying shares of the companies that, were heavy in it. So there we go. Now let's go to former SEC chief counsel says agency needs to make clear its crypto compliance rules. I mean, that's a given. This has been being said for so long. It's like, no kidding. Like, so let's make something happen here, right? So I'm not even going to cover that. So Circle has not received a Wells notice. She apologized for the mistake. So she was trying to say that Circle was getting, or USDC, there was a potential rumor about them getting kind of a letter sent by the SEC, and it was shot down. So figured that to be the case. Now let's go to Binance US has paused USDC withdrawals on eChain due to a temporary shortage. Last withdrawal was processed around 9 hours ago. So this is on the radar. Binance, a lot of red flags going up. So definitely keeping this on the radar. They, I guess, resumed it, but still definitely got to just keep it on the radar. We don't want to be caught off guard. Now we got this. So Binance had said investors withdraw cash, move to Tether and stablecoin shakeup. I can't read this, but let's keep going here. Stablecoin issuer Circle warned New York regulator about rival Binance's token and said that Binance didn't fully back some stablecoin proxy, Circle said. Circle shares regulator with Binance partners Paxos. So let's keep going. So Casper, smart cities are building on Casper. Here's how we created an open permission-based blockchain network for the city of Chengdu, China. So smart cities are building on Casper, and they're building in the city in China. So Casper, I guess, is tied up. I mean, they were one of the ones at World Economic Forum, and I'm going to give them a follow so we can, track them a little bit deeper, because we have more about Casper, and this no surprise given that they were at the event. So we're now talking to the World Economic Forum. We're now talking to the World Economic Forum itself about, the roadmap to becoming a member. This guy, and he seems like he's involved with Casper. So there we go. So they're tied up. That was from Casper Twitter space, supposedly. Then we have DBS Bank. So DBS says Bitcoin trading is up 80% in 2022 on their decentralized exchange. So it's not open to retail traders, of course. Currently allows for Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Bitcoin Cash, DOT, and ADA trading. Very interesting there. There we go. So at the perfect time. So DBS will apply for the necessary licenses in Hong Kong to avail our digital asset solutions to the market. And they recently expanded the tokens available for trading on its platform to 6 by adding Polkadot and Cardano. So those are the 2 latest additions. But you got Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Bitcoin Cash, and those from the jump have been the ones to be listed on, like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum Classic are the ones listed on Cash App, PayPal. And ever since that lawsuit, it kind of XRP, if you're in any other country, I'm sure you can buy it on those type of apps, the equivalents. But in the US, ever since the lawsuit happened, it kind of just took it out of the hands of retail and just kind of put this dark cloud over it. So I'm excited to see this case wrap up. So that was that news. So DBS Bank intends to provide crypto trading in Hong Kong. Also, DBS, I believe, is on Hedera's governing council. And also, I think DBS has ties with Ripple as well, too. Then we have this. So South Sudan government bans US dollar transactions. You're going to see much more of this. You're going to see a meltdown in the dollar. So the government of South Sudan has reportedly prohibited US dollar-based transaction and has directed that all local payments be settled in the local currency. It also wants all signed commercial contracts to be based in the local currency. So the South Sudan pound. Interesting. So I guess they're trying to do this in a way to combat the depreciation of their currency because of the dollar. So that is a clear directive from the central bank that all transactions in South Sudan must be done in our currency. So all commercial contracts must be signed in our local currency. So there we go. So they're trying to stabilize it. So yeah, we're going to see much more of that. Then we have this. So we have big plans and some huge announcements coming later this year, but you'll have to ask me again in a few months' time, as I'm sadly not able to share them yet. So this is the chief marketing officer of Quant, and this is the alternative approach to Sibos marketing. So I believe, it's talking about Sibos, Swift Sibos conference, the equivalent to Ripple's Swell conference. And I believe Quant has always showed out there, and I'm sure there may be an announcement that they'll make when it comes to that event, it seems like. So Quant, we just swapped a tiny bit out of Chain because we made a killing on Chain, and we still are. We swapped a little bit out into Quant because we believe Quant is going to start to move here. So that was a little tidbit. Then we have Binance CEO says algo stablecoins may reemerge. So that being the case, so the industry may move away from dollar-backed stablecoins. Pax stopped issuing BUSD, saying that this move may have effects of kind of moving away from dollar-linked stablecoins and even revisiting algorithmic equivalents in the wake of a U.S. regulatory crackdown. So in this event, I have FracShare heavy on my radar. This is basically, you look at it, the world's first fractional stablecoin and crypto native consumer price index. This is definitely, and it's stabilized algorithmically. And it's not something, I'm loading up on kind of long-term bags, but I'm debating just throwing, a couple hundred in, kind of like a Floki thing, and just seeing what takes from it. Because, there's no harm in just kind of throwing a couple hundred and a couple of coins and kind of spreading it around and seeing what may stick, especially when the narrative fits the use case. So we all know where this market is going to end up and which players are going to be there at the end of the day, but you can still maximize the opportunities in front of you. So then we got Russia to hold extraordinary meeting on February 22nd. So that's in like a week now. And then also we have JP Morgan South Africa migrates to ISO 222. So February 13th, a couple days ago, they successfully migrated to ISO 222 messaging standards. So we're seeing it all happen here. And the big bang, I believe, is around March 23rd. So it's coming up, but we're seeing already transition. So exciting times ahead. This is going to lay the groundwork for tokenization, digital assets to be embedded in the system. Then we have, so this Leo Bernard was like the new pick from Biden to be the economic advisor. So I'm going to play this.
Be trying to approach it.
So I do think that of the use cases out there, we know that intermediation chain and they're slow and they can. So my sense is that technology with appropriate safeguards could make a material impact and likely will. And it may well be through a partnership model. I don't want to pronounce on any particular approach. There are a variety of partnerships out there that are trying to innovate and to reduce frictions and increase transparency for those cross-border transactions. In my sense, I'm fairly optimistic that there are some good solutions out there that don't necessitate a global stablecoin.
Look how she ducked, anything when it came to saying Ripple's name, but basically giving the confirmation, validation to his statement. Then we had this coming out of Klaus Schwab. So let's hear this.
Now, where we move into the exponential, and I agree, artificial intelligence, but also the metaverse, near space technologies, and I could go on and on, synthetic biology. Our life in 10 years from now will be completely different, very much affected. Who masters those technologies in some way will be the master. And we are just now.
So basically he's saying we're just hitting the hyper boom as far as the fourth industrial revolution technologies. So then we got this. We have Mr. Man, my man. So I can think of some bridge currencies that specialize in interoperability, ISO 222. Both ecosystems meet regulatory compliance, solve outdated issues, work with regulators. So let's hear it from the BIS.
And that comes to consumer adoption and merchant acceptance, the launch of a CBDC. And this is going back to the interoperability question, because many central banks that we have spoken with face this common challenge, which is how would you make sure that CBDC can be used from day one, by whom? Those are the key questions. And more importantly, how would it coexist and interoperate back to the existing, whether that's banking application, to the existing payment infrastructures. And with that in mind, I think this goes back to, thinking especially CBDC as a retail CBDC or a general purpose CBDC. There's a lot of nuances that's associated with it. And this is where we think, how do we envision what a potential retail bridge that can be built, and to support these adoption questions is very key. And then I guess another sort of initiative which we've been spending quite some time is in applied research for CBDC. And we're looking at a lot of these novel technologies, I would say, that has been sort of being experimented and piloted. And certainly I think highlighting the MCBDC Bridge project and definitely the project Nexus, I think personally is super interesting. In this space, we have launched a publication around the universal payment channels. Essentially, it's really leveraging cryptographic sort of primitives and trying to think how could you allow sort of in the future if certain regulated stablecoins and CBDCs, or between CBDC and CBDC, these cross-border payments happen. And let's assume that if they're built on DLT networks, how could you facilitate a very secure and instant atomic, cross-border payments between two different networks? So these are very interesting. And I think we have found a lot of resonance actually in the Project Nexus in the way the network is being designed and being proposed. So super excited in terms of what's to come. I guess just to summarize, I do think that it is possible you can have both resiliency and simplicity without killing off these established solutions. And this is where the private sector and the public sector come in to provide this range of, I would say, interoperability solutions that can then bring things together.
There we go. Now let's go to the article here. So Project Nexus, blueprint for instant cross-border payments, moves to testing phase. More than 60 countries already have instant or fast payment systems that allow people to send money to each other within seconds. However, sending money abroad is often still slow and expensive. Connecting these national systems internationally could improve the speed, cost, and transparency of payments. So Stellar and Ripple, those are the two companies that are doing this. They're the ones out here. We're getting closer and closer to that being publicly just set in stone. Now, I think that was it. So one thing I was going to cover later for a deep dive is everybody forgot, but we didn't over here at Stargate. We got foreign exchange spot settlement in 10 seconds. New York Fed releases results of wholesale CBDC research. So we have this 12-week first phase of Project Cedar, which is the wholesale central bank digital currency pilot testing with tons of US banks. And it's been 12 weeks. TikTok. We could hear an announcement any day now. So this was November 4th. We got December 4th, January 4th, February 4th. That's 3 months. That's 12 weeks. Any day now, we could hear results from this pilot. So I'm going to dive deep and see if we can uncover anything before it's publicly released. I already did find one thing, which is the New York Fed YouTube 3 months ago. Project Cedar explained wholesale central bank digital currency prototype. Maybe we can find comments are turned off. That's hilarious. So maybe we can find something in here that's interesting. One thing that is interesting in this is look at the numbers on the side. Once it ends, it's right when the left side is 333 and the right side is 133. So it's just so weird how these numbers and kind of just like the riddlers and how they post these numbers and kind of sequences and codes and everything, how you actually go to these government official kind of YouTube channels, the New York Fed right here, and then you see shit like that. To me, it blows my mind. Definitely, it's pointing to something. I don't know what it is necessarily. Could be a date, could be this, could be that, but as far as I'm concerned, it's no coincidence. Nothing ever is. So I'm going to dive deep and see what we can uncover with Project Cedar and kind of revisit that, circle back, regroup with it, because 12 weeks has finished. So any day now we could hear something from it, and it could be something big. So subscribe, hit the notification bell, get updated real time when we release that video later today. Come join the Discord as well too. I'll put the link in the bio. Come say what up. I'll say what up back, and I'll see you guys in the next video.